Oh man, it muted me.
Going live in 0-0. There you
Happy
go.
Friday.
There you
Man, technical difficulties. This is Tailgate Talk. I am your host, Mike. That is my partner in crime, Tommy, from the MSR. What's going on, bud?
What is up, Mikey? Man, technical difficulties right away in 2022. Ah, boy.
Yep. Yep. We got some people over in the chat. We got Rick Rarick, Nathan S, Spin, Father Snowman. How you all doing? Happy Friday night. Welcome to week 18. It's a win and clinch the East. That's what it's about.
That's it. Hey, what did we say a couple weeks back? Calm down, everybody. It ain't over. It ain't over yet, right? Everybody was freaking out, right? After that Tampa game, especially after that Tampa game. It's it. That's over. It's over. It's it. Let's rebuild. Fire Brandon Bean. Right? Get rid of this guy. Josh Allen sucks. And boy, oh boy, have the Buffalo Bills turned the page and have shown you guys that they can play better than what they were giving us most of the season. Let's be real. And they're starting turning the page, including the coaches, by the way, including Brian Dable. Thank God. But yeah, it's starting to look good, Mikey. The momentum is starting to build up, and it's perfect timing.
Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Wasn't big on Josh's 3 interception game, but things happen.
Yeah.
There was. We'll get into that. But first, let's thank our sponsors, Mr. Rogers Homes, Mr. Sean Rogers. He's the 1% realtor out in Arizona. So if there's any Arizona real estate needs, please reach out to Mr. Rogers, and we appreciate everything he does for us and for #sports. And then we'll do our LinkedIn roll mid credit, and we'll start by moving over to the game recap last week, Tommy. So the Falcons, we won 29-15. Our show predictions from last week, you had it 34-6. I had it 31-13. For the X Factor, on offense, you win. You had Singletary.
That's right.
He had 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had no catches as he dropped his one that he had. And we'll get into that too. And then on defense, you had Hughes, I had Epinesa. Epinesa actually put more in the stat line. He had 2 tackles, 1 solo, and 1 for loss.
Yeah, he did a big tackle.
Yeah.
Though he didn't play excellent or anything. Nothing to write home about, but he had one play that was noteworthy. How about that? That was a good stop on the run. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, neither of our guys really didn't much on defense.
No. Touche. Neither one showed up. But on offense, you won with Singletary. He did have the 2 big touchdowns. Tough running, hard-nosed runs again, like Singletary has been since he became our lead back. I had Davis, who ended up with 4 for, I think, 30. There wasn't a big air game. Josh was just off this week. So, but yeah, that sets up what our predictions and X factors were. So let's dig into the game a little bit. And I wanted to get your thoughts. So from an offensive perspective, we came out throw happy in the snow. I know me and you were texting back and forth, and we talked a little bit about it on the post game. You on yours, and then me on #sports. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a big fan of the game plan of coming out and throwing in the snow.
Nope, it's like the lessons weren't learned for the 4th year under Dable. It's like, Dable, hello. Like, dude, you're from Buffalo. You understand that it's windy, it's shitty out, it's really, the ball's super wet. Like, this is the time we should be running. And we just ran the ball good the last 2 weeks. Like, so it's not like we just can't get any running game going. We've proven the last 2 weeks we can get it going. 2 weeks and a half, really. So all of a sudden, at home, miserable day, he shuts the running back down in the first half. But kudos to him for at least addressing that and changing his game plan in the second half. Because once he did that is when Buffalo took control and regained momentum in that game. Because the momentum swang right back into Atlanta's favor going into the half. I mean, like as Buffalo fans, we all sit back, we saw it. When it's happening, you could feel it. I know I can, where it's like, oh, here we go, right? The interception right away. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, and then they drive 80 yards, and I'm like, here it is. Here's the shift, right? Then Josh, another interception right before the half. They get more points. It's just like, that's how sometimes momentum can really build against you. But good for Dable for having in-game adjustments, which he doesn't really do often, and he did it, and he trusted it. Motor could carry the load in the second half, and it showed. But yeah, Josh Allen, 20 pass attempts in the first half, unacceptable in that kind of weather. And it really the interceptions weren't all on Josh Allen. 2 of them were tipped, but he shouldn't have been throwing that much. We should have just been controlling the game by running the ball, and Singletary might have had a 150-yard game if we would have ran, or even more. Who knows? Mm-hmm. He had a hell of a second half.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think because last night I was watching you on your uncensored show over on Mafia Sports Report. You guys were talking about Dable and his in-game adjustments, and you said that you liked what you saw last week. So let me ask you, do you think it was truly Dable that made the adjustment, or do you think he got the message from McDermott to run the damn ball?
Well, who really knows, right, behind the scenes what happened? But yeah, I mean, he is the head coach, and I would expect him to do that, right? To go up to the OC and say, hey, things aren't, whatever's going on, we got to switch it up. Very possible. Or Dable, we got to give the credit to Dable for doing his job and finally realizing that we need to run the ball in this kind of environment. So I don't know. That's a good question. But I do believe that McDermott wanted a certain style offense to start the season. And I do believe McDermott got with Dable around that Tampa game. And they just said, you know what, we're going to change it up. We're going to go back to what we were doing for this season. I do believe that, because the offensive play calling is way different since that game. It's totally changed. It's gone back to
it looks a lot more like the 2020 offense.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. 2019.
Yeah. That's what I mean. The 2020. It's going back to that kind of a flavor of offense that worked. And I think that McDermott maybe saw a different picture for us in the beginning of the year. Maybe he was planning on doing this whole dual back kind of, two-dimensional kind of offense, and it just didn't work. And
he's a defensive coordinator, and he relies on his defense. He likes to run the ball and play strong defense. That's what's built into him as a defensive coordinator. And I like what Ron says here, and he asks us a question, and we can get into this. We don't have to get into it now. We can get into it once we switch over to the defense side. It says, do you guys think the Bills need to show a 3-4 once in a while to throw off the offense and try combinations of lines and blitzers more? I don't know if we will ever change, because McDermott is pretty set in his standard 4-2-5. We don't even run a standard 4-3. We run a 4-2-5 because we run nickel as our base. So we can get into that a little bit, but I want to go back up to a comment that I saw up here from Y and get your thoughts. How about that wild man Matt Ryan with the taunting penalty?
Well,
which really ended the game for them ended their playoff season run.
It did. Well, if you watch my show yesterday to the end on my Grind My Gears segment, the taunting, I mean, yeah, it worked in our favor, but let's just say hypothetically it was us and that was Josh Allen. we would be pissed. I don't like the taunting thing. I think the NFL will go back in the offseason and tweak this up a little bit. They'll keep it in play, but I don't think it'll be where the refs are happy, like flag happy with just minor talking. Like, guys, that's going to happen. It happens in every sport. I think only if it's excessive you should throw a flag. But come on, man. Like, what did he really do there? Like, I got you, bitch. I mean, how bad could it have been? Poyer didn't react. He didn't shove him. Nothing happened there. So, like, I'd be pissed if I'm a Falcons fan. But it is what it is. It worked in our favor. But I was just thinking, man, if that was us, it was a playoff game or just whatever. And Josh Allen is fiery, guys. It's not like he doesn't talk. He talks shit more than a lot of the players. Right. So imagine that
more than Matt Ryan does.
Oh, dude, we would be. It would be like conversation for the whole all season. Now we got screwed. So I don't like the taunting. I just don't, man. I think that's a stupid rule they put in place, man. Most of the fights, Mikey, are honestly most of the fights happen with late hits or hits on the quarterback. Like, a dirty shot on the quarterback has nothing to do with taunting. Most of the big fights in the NFL. So I think it's a ridiculous rule. Do that in college. You know what I mean? Then, not in the NFL.
That rule is designed. That rule designed for the Tyreek Hill and Winfield, who Tyreek Hill in the regular season gave him the peace sign as he was running away, and then Winfield in the Super Bowl gave him the peace sign back. And that's really where it came from.
Who cares though?
But that's fine. I like what Daniel Gardy comes in and says McD's been more aggressive since the first half of the Tampa Bay, or since the second half of the Tampa Bay game, in 2020, except for the AFC title game. And I disagree with except for the AFC title game. I think McDermott went extremely conservative at the start of the playoffs. In that Colts game, we were lucky to win that game. If Josh didn't put on a Superman cape, we lose that game. They outplayed us in almost all facets of that game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then in the Baltimore game, our defense won that one for us. So I understand that a lot of people, because we won, we weren't talking much about it. But I think McDermott went extremely conservative in the playoffs in totality, and I don't want to see that. I don't like that offense.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, he was that whole playoff run the offense was miserable. I'll be honest with you. The Colts game we should have lost. The Ravens game, like you said, was the defense. That was all on our defense, and the Chiefs game just exposed the hell out of us. But maybe, like I said, bro, Mikey, lessons learned, and McDermott's still kind of growing as a head coach. He's still kind of learning on the job as well. I know he's been here 5 years now, but some of these coaches have been around for years and years and years. Andy Reid, for instance. So they're a little bit used to playing more aggressive style football. They can read defenses a little bit better. So he'll get there. But I do like his approach since the Tampa game. He has been aggressive because you know what, Mikey? He had no choice. If he is not playing aggressive, especially in the Patriots game, maybe we don't beat the Patriots. I'm just saying. You have to show that. And we had no other choice if we're going to win the AFC East or even get in the playoffs at that point. So good for him.
Yeah, so Ron comes in and asks another question. Says, do you guys think we need to run Josh more and throw in Singletary more and quick throws some too? I don't think we need to run Josh more. We need to eliminate the quarterback draw. If we're going to run Josh, we need to keep it to the power quarterback sweep where we get guys out in front of him and on dropbacks where he scrambles. The stupid quarterback draw up the middle, I'm done with that. I don't ever want to see that play run again. Some of the RPOs are okay because then Josh gets to make a decision. But I don't think we need to run him more. We do need to get Singletary more involved, even in this short passing game. When we were at our best was in that Patriots game. It started out with 4 straight passes to Singletary. Quick. Get him going. Get Josh in a rhythm. Make them come up. Because what's happening is they're dropping back, 10 yards and taking away that intermediate where Josh is so dangerous, that 10 to 20-yard intermediate that we like to hit Davis and Diggs and those type on. So Josh then has to take the profits. He took them against the Patriots. He didn't take the profits against the Falcons. He kept trying to find that deep one. He felt like we had the game in hand, and he almost blew it for us.
Yeah. He was getting a little a little too cocky there at one point. I mean, I like it. I like when he's feeling himself, but and that kind of weathering it, that kind of environment, it's like, dude.
Like when he had 7 seconds back there and then he uncorked the bomb to Diggs.
Right.
Like there was no need for that. You dump it down, get your
Right.
6, 7, 8 yards and move on to the next play.
Yeah, but speaking of the RPO, I will say this. Finally, because Josh hates giving up the ball to Singletary on those, right? Like 9 times out of 10, it's going to Allen. But in that Falcons game, he finally gave one up, and Singletary went for a nice chunk of yards. And if he gives that up, I'm telling you, Motor sometimes has a wide lane because the defense is always paying attention to Josh. And that's crazy that a defense will pay attention more to the quarterback running than the actual running back, right? So I think Dable needs to start having Allen, or at least talk to Allen and say, hey, you got to trust Singletary a little bit more and give it to him on some of these, because the defense is they're looking at you. They're paying attention to what you're doing. So yeah, I think Motor definitely needs to get more involved moving forward. And Josh, on those quarterback draws, I just like you said, I can't take them. You're going to get the guy hurt eventually in time. Let Josh decide if he wants to take off on his own, where it's not scripted, it's not a design play. The plays I like the best for Josh is when he rolls out to the right. Rolls out to the right or left, gets the big offensive line behind, in front of him. Mm-hmm. That works the best. That always gets yardage for this team. So that's what I want to see more.
That Poland one where you got Morris and Brown and those guys out in front, and Josh just picking in the hole that he wants to go through. That's my favorite run play. And that should be our run play inside the red zone. You get inside the 5,
I would do it. I would do it.
Run that every time. Run that every time, because Josh is going to score 9 times out of 10 on that.
Right, they're athletic enough to the guards. That's one thing about our line. They're not that good in run blocking, but they're very athletic to get to the outside. They're athletic enough to do pin and pulls. Like Mitch Morse is very good on those. Spencer Brown can get on the outside and just truck people. Deion Dawkins can truck people. It's the inside runs. It's where we don't
have super strong, big interior guards.
We don't have big dudes, right?
I mean, Bates has been a godsend. Having Bates in there, I've also noticed that Dawkins has played better with Bates next to him than he did with Butker or Mongo.
Well, that, and I think he's starting to finally get his legs back, Mikey. He's not going to say it, but I believe that. I think he had that. He was in the hospital. I'm telling you, that hit him pretty hard, and I think he's finally getting his full strength back. And it's perfect timing, because he's starting to like pancake people. Like he's putting in his work, and it's perfect timing. Like I said, going into the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Going back up here, Scott Blakely comes in and says, "Just take the leash off of Josh. That's the difference in the last 8 quarters. No conservative plays in the playoffs." I agree. And you know what? And we need to see it this week. We need to see a bunch of Singletary and Josh is taking the profits. Don't go chasing the dragon. Josh always chases the dragon like he's on heroin. He's trying to find that big play. He wants it. He has to have it. It's okay to just take the 8 yards. The big plays will come. They'll come naturally. Make those guys come up. So
and it's going to be another miserable day too. So you really, Dable, listen, against a bad team again, right? Even worse, right? But what do the Jets do well? They got a good running back, right? They're going to be running the ball. They're going to do exactly what we need to do, which is get Josh running. I don't care if Josh runs for another 120 yards again, but do it right, do it smart, get him to the outside, get Singletary involved as well. Just don't go pass heavy. There's no need for that in this kind of game. And then we'll talk in the playoffs, because that'll be a different animal when we go against the Patriots. But.
Well, if we get the Patriots, and we'll get into the playoffs.
That's true.
We'll get into the playoff talk, because right now that Cincinnati is benching Burrow and Mixon and probably Chase, the chances are we're going to end up in the 3 seed, and that's looking more towards Indianapolis.
Right.
But
yeah.
but we'll get into all that later.
We'll see. We'll see how it works. Yeah. It's crazy right now.
So let's take this time to switch over to the defense. Our defense showed up against the Falcons, played fantastic. Outside of, I think, one run fit issue and a long pass to Pitts, and he's just an athletic freak. We pretty much shut them down.
No,
they didn't do a whole lot.
Yep. I wish we would have blitzed a little bit more, to be honest with you. So only if I were to critique the defense a little bit, I think we could have got home a little bit more than what we did. And we got home, I think, 3 or 4 times.
We had 5 sacks.
Oh, was it 4? Okay, 4 or 5. All right. Well, either way, I still think we could have got home a little bit more. There was plays there. I think we kind of gave Matt Ryan a little bit too much time. Matt Ryan still, he's still a hell of a quarterback. He, even though he's getting as old as age, he still could pick you apart, if he has time. So, but yeah, I thought our defense did their job for the most part. But I gotta say, got a little close there at the end. If it wasn't for the taunting and that, and
it's a one-score game
early
with 4 minutes left. We get the ball. When you see how that happened, when we got the ball, we just ran it out.
Yeah, so I know,
but I wasn't
anything could have happened.
Scared.
Anything could have happened, though. I prefer not to be down to that. Like I'm just saying, like I just, in that game, I think we should have blitzed a little bit more, but we did our job against a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have many weapons, bro. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, their DVOA offensive defenses are at the bottom of the league. They had they had a 7 wins because they were 7-2 in 1-score games or something like that, or within 2-score games. They beat bad teams. They lose the good teams. We played about as bad as we had in a while, and we still won by 2 scores. So just tip your cap. We got the job done. We moved on. But going to Ron's comment where he asked about, do we need to show something different? Maybe not even from a 3-4, because we don't have the linebackers to run a 3-4. We don't have the D ends to run a 3-4. When you're running a 3-4, you need a big nose tackle and 2 big D ends that can set the edge. And then you run with your what would be considered a D end in a 4-3 becomes an outside linebacker. And then you have your 2 middles. I don't think we have the personnel to do something like that. We do run a 4-2-5, which is more of a base nickel. We randomly, like when we go against heavy run teams, I do see we bring in Klein. Well, what are you laughing at?
Guy said you gain weight, Paul.
We run the 3 linebackers. We bring in Klein, and then we run a 4-3. But that's only against the heavy run teams. We don't do that very often. Tron Johnson's a fantastic nickel who blitzes and comes up and tackles in the run game. So that's our standard. I would like to see us play a little bit more line games and maybe blitz, Milano or Edmonds a little bit more than we do.
Yeah. I've been saying
a little bit more exotic,
yeah.
But that's really not McDermott's defense. He's more of a base shell.
Correct.
He likes to run
yeah. But the thing is, it's funny though. Like when he does send them, they usually get home.
Mm-hmm.
They usually get there. Like Milano usually gets to the quarterback, or at least gets really good pressure on him, and Edmonds as well. They're both especially Edmonds. Like, I don't know if we give him enough credit, but he is a freak athlete, guys. Like, I think if we sent him more often, his stats he would have quite a bit of sacks on his at the end of the year. It's just, we don't really do that with him. We just don't you just don't send him much. He's usually covering a tight end or, out in space. But I don't know. I would definitely like it, just because I think if they start doing it here and there, I think it'll throw offenses off a little bit because they're so used to McDermott's style of defense, and sending them is rare. So if you send them here and there on a surprise blitz, I think it'll catch your offense off guard, man. I mean, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, they got. By the way, the aggressive thing about McDermott that you're talking about, that goes on both sides. I think being aggressive on defense too. He has to do that as well. Take some chances, man. And I think we did that against the Bucks. By the way, they started blitzing Brady a little bit more. They started doing they did a little bit different on defense that got us back in that game. We held them to 3 points, so I thought we were a little bit more aggressive as well.
Y comes in and says, "Play more of the Buddy Ryan style of D, attack. They run the Ryans. They run exotic blitzes, and they usually get home. They run a lot of different games.
Or could do the Greg Williams defense and just have players give players money to knock out other players' best players or whatever. Other teams' best players.
No bounty gates. No bounty gates. We're not looking for any bounty gates. So from a coaching standpoint, I didn't like the first half. I loved what I saw from the adjustments and how aggressive McDermott got. Like to see them take care of Josh a little bit. It doesn't all have to be on him. It's okay. We do have a running game. It's starting to, show the last week since we started giving one guy the rock rather than three guys the rock. Got somebody in a rhythm. Every running back will tell you need 12 to 15 carries to get in a rhythm.
Yep.
And when you're splitting 15 carries between three guys, it's not going to get anybody going. So,
yeah, that rhythm thing, that dual running back, whatever, that works with teams like Cleveland that have good offense. They're a run-heavy team. Both backs are going to get 10 to 15 carries a piece easily, and that's why it works so well there.
Offensive line?
Yes, like Cleveland.
They have a good run blocking offensive line.
Well,
they gave up 9 sacks last week against.
That's what I said. Run blocking. You know what? Well, run blocking. They do.
Yeah.
Their run blocking is excellent. They also gained massive yards on the run last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. So we don't have that. So I think moving forward until we get a new running back in here and a different offensive line, you have to give Singletary the primary carries. You have to. He has to be the primary back, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's working out. I think he's earning the trust now, and McDermott, and he's earning the trust in Josh Allen, which is really the most important thing.
Yep.
So
I agree. A comment comes in and says, "Why were the Jets so much better against the Bucs than we were?" Well, you have to look at what the Bucs had. They had no Lenny. They had no Godwin. They had no AB. He quit at halftime. When we played the Bucs, they were fully healthy, and they were also on the road in New Jersey, and we were in Tampa Bay. So it's a completely different setup.
I can answer too. I mean, why were the Saints so great against the Bucs? I mean, it's a wild season. If I were going to answer that question for you, the Saints beat the Bucs 9-0. Are the Saints better than the Bucs? And realistically, no. Are the Saints better than us? No. We killed the Saints. But it just at any given Sunday, sometimes, bro, it's just not your day. And you can get beat by a bad team. I mean, it happens.
Y comes in and says, Bounty Gate, but payoff is in hot wings.
Right, yeah. I know we sent a lot of wings to Cordell Patterson.
It was Patterson, and also Reed Ferguson sent some to somebody, too, from another place.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there was a couple of them. It was nice,
Yeah, nice guys.
We have one that says, in bad weather, Bill should turn into a Greg Roman style. In good weather or domes, they can throw like crazy. I wouldn't say that from Bills Fan 21. I agree a little bit, and we need to run the ball more in bad weather. We need to put on our big boy pants and get, and then show up and run the ball. Your take?
I mean, I kind of agree a little bit with what he's saying in a way. Like, that's why I was telling you guys it's not such a bad thing playing on the road in these playoff games later down the stretch if we do, because our offense will be able to do what they do best. And let's be real, that's pass, right? When Josh Allen's passing, in better environments, our offense looks a lot better. When we have to play in these kind of environments, like at home when it's windy and rainy and snowing, and especially when Dable's hard-headed and he still wants to continue to pass, is when we struggle. So to answer your question, yeah, I mean, in my opinion, yeah, I mean, you have to. We're just not built. Right now we're not built to play at home. Okay, we're okay against like the Atlanta Falcons and the Jets, and but it's when we play against teams that are built for that environment, like the Colts offensive line, the Patriots offensive line. That's where it gets a little tough. So, now it's the playoffs. That's where we really got to knuckle up, guys, when we're at home, because it's not going to be. I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to be a pretty game. Yeah. Whoever we play and that wild card is not going to be a pretty game, so don't expect it.
Yeah. Carl comes in and says when the O-line started running, push, pull, and opening some holes, the running game got better. Go figure. Yeah, we went away from more of the zone stuff. We went to that pin and pull and started running wide. Yep. We have athletic offensive line. We don't have big, strong maulers. We have athletic out in space guys. And when we started running that type of offense again, things started clicking. Also, it was the defenses we were playing too. We weren't playing, top 10 run defenses.
Well, the Patriots, I don't know. The Patriots are pretty good. Now they're bad at run block. You're right. They're bad at run defense.
You can run on the Patriots. You have a hard time.
But they're still a good defense, though. I would still say they're not that great at run defense, but they're
DVOA. Yeah. So, Bills are top 3. I think it's the Bills, the Patriots, and the Colts are the top 3 DVOA defenses in football right now.
Yeah, I think that what helped is we got our offensive line back healthy, right? And Ryan Bates is getting an opportunity that we all been screaming for really since last season, like wondering why he hasn't getting playing time. And him going in, like you said earlier, Mikey, I think it's just something's like with him and Dion. Maybe they have a good chemistry going. Dion's liking him beside him, and it's just Bates can do it all. That's what I like about Bates. And listen, Feliciano, I like him still, and I think listen. God forbid if Morse goes down, we have a good, Feliciano could step up just like Bates did in center. He's proven it before. So right now, this lineup that we have, this offensive line, is doable. Like I think we can win games in the playoffs with that offensive line.
Yeah, and part of it's Bates comes from a center. It's why Mongo was so important to the offensive line, because he helped with line calls and different things from a center standpoint, because Mongo knows the center position. Bates is the same way, except I think Bates is more physical from a guard position than Mongo is at this point.
Yeah.
I know he is ready to go. We'll get into the injury report, but he was limited most of the week, but there was no game designation. He was full practice, so he'll be back out there this week, which is awesome because we'll have Dawkins, Bates, Morris, Williams, and Brown. So we'll have going into our third straight game of all of them together. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and maybe he has something to prove, by the way, Mikey, too. How sometimes guys take that, they get their opportunity, and they don't want to lose that position, right? They want to stay on the field, right? So maybe Ryan Bates is like, hey, like this is my opportunity. I got to show out. I got to play my absolute best, and maybe he has an opportunity to be the starter next season, depending on how the rest of this goes, this playoff run goes.
Yeah. Going back to what up here, Bills fan 21 says, for the majority of this season, I agreed with you. The past week showed me the Bills can run the ball. We do have the personnel. You have to think about the defense we were playing as well. The Falcons defense was bottom third in DVOA or any defensive metric you want to look at. They're not great. But I also feel that our running game's coming along. You have to stick to it. It's okay to get 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, especially if you're willing to go for it on fourth down, because 3 yards, 4 times, 12 yards, and it's first down. And let's be honest, Singletary gets more than 3 yards a carry. I think he's averaging, close to 4 yards. 4.6. Yeah. So he's averaging 4.6 yards a carry. So if we give him the ball 3 times, he'll usually get you a first down.
Right. So he's almost at, I think he's like 7 something right now total yardage. Imagine if we used him from the beginning of the season more, right? Like gave him the rock a little bit more. He'd be 1,000-yard back, guys. I'm telling you right now. He's at 782 right now. I'm just saying. So 800 yards basically. He's gonna get close to 100 yards again. I think maybe more in this against the Jets. So that means he's gonna get 900 yards on the season, and we barely use them. That's not bad. That's actually pretty good. So give the guy. I keep saying this. Show Motor a little bit of love, guys, because he's done nothing but work his ass off. And he's finally, getting a little bit of love, man, from the offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, who's starting to trust him and use him. And he's proving his work.
I agree. It shows the hard work he put in the offseason. Yeah, that's what we heard. He got bigger so he could take the pounding. He got faster. I love this comment that comes in. Ford sits, we win.
Yeah. You want to know what's crazy too? So Devin Singletary Motor has 169 carries on the season. Josh Allen, 117. So he's not far off from our primary running back. So that goes to show you how little they ran Motor and how much they run Josh Allen. Like that has to, I'm telling you right now, like I love the fact that Josh Allen can run, Mike, but moving forward, you gotta start limiting. You have to dial it back a little bit because it won't last long in this league. He will get hurt in time. It will slow his career down. The proof is with quarterbacks in the past, right? Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger, they all get banged up. They start to change, right? And Josh has been hurt twice, right? Been hurt in college whole season. Came to us rookie season, got hurt. He was out 6 games. Same thing, a shoulder injury. It can happen. So they got to start, once they start building this offensive line in the offseason, they got to really dial it back a little bit on the design runs for Allen. I don't mind Allen taking off when he feels like there's nothing there. Those work out better than the design runs for him. It's the ones that are like quarterback draws. Like those are the ones, man, why are you having him run in the middle with huge guys that are, potentially an injury? So I'm just saying they have to dial back, get a running back, get a running system in here, get an offensive line. And that's it. That's my opinion on that. But my point is Singletary needs to get the ball a little bit more moving forward, especially in the playoffs. They have to.
Well, he had 23 carries last week, and he had 22 the week before that. So
I want to know the stat, though. I couldn't find it, Mikey. Maybe somebody here can. How many times did he carry the ball in the first half? I don't know if anyone can find that, but I don't. I'm pretty sure it was not that many compared to the second. I could be wrong.
It was definitely under 10. It was definitely under 10.
Okay. There you go.
I like what Trigg says here. Trigg comes in and says, I believe the run's opening up more for Singletary because defenses are focusing on Josh running the ball. I absolutely agree with that.
Yes.
Especially when they're sending them the opposite ways where it's that RPO and Josh is putting it in his stomach and reading the defensive end. As if he crashes down, Josh takes it. If he doesn't, he gives it to Motor and lets Motor go the other way. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And he's always getting yardage, by the way, guys. He's the kind of back that
falling
forward, man. He's always going to get you, even if he's caught up, he's going to get you something. So that's the good thing about Motor. He'll always make the first guy miss. He just doesn't have the speed, and that's probably his only downfall, Mikey. Because I think he's a strong back. He just doesn't have that burst that a lot of these running backs, good ones, do. But he's a solid running back. I would say he's a solid running back. I like him.
Yeah, this is a fantastic question. Diggs and Knox both have 9 TDs. Do you think Josh will target them in the red zone to see if they can get them in double digits? Or do you think they don't really care about that? I absolutely think they care about that. Especially for Diggs, because if Diggs gets to 100 catches, he has an incentive in his contract where he gets more money. It's like $1 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And he'll be the first Bills receiver to have back-to-back 100-yard catches.
I can see him both. I can see him both in this Jets game.
Mm-hmm.
I can see him both getting a touchdown, especially in the red zone. They like to do those little bubble screens or whatever they're called to Diggs on the side there, because they can when you're at the 2 or 1, you could do an illegal screen basically because it's not illegal down there. So that's why we were great with those last year. We don't do that many this year for some reason. That's another play that Dable totally took off his playbook, but I could see him getting in, especially if we're in the red zone, going to Diggs and Knox.
And Rick Rarick came in and said it's actually $1.5 million. It's $1.55 million. That if
I'm sure
Diggs
players talk.
6 balls,
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I guarantee you, Diggs has been in Josh's ear saying, "We need 6, dude, 6."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure Allen will get a nice little gift too from Diggs, like a present.
Yep. And I don't believe because I don't believe Josh Allen's going to play the whole game. I really don't. I think he's going to play, till they get till halftime, or Diggs gets the 6 catches that he needs.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah.
And then we're going to see Mitchie come in, and I think we're going to see Singletary and, a heavy dose of Singletary and Moss this week, along with Trubisky for the second half, much like we did against the Dolphins. We're going to get a lead, and then we're going to turn it over to those guys. But they're going to make sure they get Diggs his 6, because, $1.5 million, that's a big thing for morale in the locker room.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he'll get it.
Yeah. So any final thoughts on the recap before we move into the just the fact that we handled our business, which we should have at home, and that's really it, man. That we took care of business against a bad team, and it's I wasn't worried at all during the game, which thank God. Like, you know what I mean? There was really no worry watching that game. Like, oh, here we go. Even when we were down at half, I'm thinking we'll be fine. That I was confident in that game. Point.
Yeah, exactly.
We were about to run away with it, and then we turned the ball over a bunch.
It's because we got a little cute. Let's be real. We got a little cute. Yeah. Josh got a little cute. Dable probably was getting a little cute. I know he did like some kind of trick play there at one point with
Diggs. Diggs pass.
Yeah, with Diggs. Yeah. So we were getting a little cutesy at times, but we went back to hard-nosed football in the second half and close the show. But no, it was a good victory.
Do you think Dable's been keeping some plays in the bag to have saved for the playoffs? I don't think so. I think they build out.
I think we've seen everything from Dable now. Like, he hasn't. No, he has nothing saved.
He might dust something off that he's used in the past, but I don't think we're gonna see anything new.
If anything, he hasn't. To be honest with you, in both playoff runs that he's been part of, 3 or 2, previous 2, he actually is very conservative in the playoffs. Like, and that's what's frustrating. Like, I would love for him to have some crazy cool plays that he hasn't seen, right? Like that he uses in the playoffs. Like, yes, please bring it, but if history shows, no, he's not going to do it. He's going to.
Johnny Brook comes in and says, "Get Josh out of there early. Keep him, out of harm's way."
Oh, for sure. Once we got, I think they'll know. McDermott will know once we got it under wraps. We're in control of the game, especially on the defense side of things, because that's really what it'll boil down to. If our defense is just handling their business. Even if it's, let's say, even if hypothetically it's 13-0 in the third quarter, it's a 2-score game. I still think they'll take them out. 13-0 at that point, the defense is shutting them out. I don't see Josh. Why would you keep him in there if the defense is, taking care of the business? So I could see Josh going out mid-third quarter, something like that.
Okay. Bills fan 21 comes in and says, "We haven't had Star for most of the season. I think having him back for the playoffs gives us a subtle edge the opposing offenses may not anticipate." Star played last week, and he backed up Harry, and he did not play well. I don't know what's going on with Star. I know he hasn't played a lot. Maybe he just needs to knock off some rust, but I hope so. But Star hasn't been the Star of old at all this year, whether he's there or not.
Nope.
So I hope,
he's
I hold out hope for him, but as long as Harry keeps playing the way he's been playing, we're going to be all right.
Yep, I agree.
Daniel Gargis comes in and says Atlanta's not a bad team in my opinion. They were in the playoff hunt. We were a desperate team, had nothing to lose. Yeah,
they're okay. They're not
okay.
bad. They're not Jaguar bad, but they're not good either. If that makes any sense, they're okay. They're like a little better than the Browns. I mean, it's not saying much, but they're all right. They're a team we should have beaten, and we did. And that's that.
Jay Boogie comes in, and I agree with this because I don't think we've seen it yet. The Bills play so good, it's like a nuke goes off, every team will feel the shockwaves. I don't think we've put together a full game yet this year. Play to our best.
One.
Which one?
I want to say the Patriot game. I thought the second Patriot game, I thought that was a full team effort. I thought
full team effort, but
full team. No, I mean it wasn't our best. Well, you're talking about our best. No, so our best on defense we have shown, but not full team.
Okay,
no.
So let's take the Seattle offense. When we played Seattle or the San Francisco 49ers, that offense that just exploded.
Yeah, everything. No, we haven't.
We haven't seen one of those games yet.
The offense. No, but we've had a complete game. I guess I'll backtrack that. We've had a complete game where, and I want to say the Patriot game. If we're going to get close to that, let's say, I thought the Patriot game was the closest we had to a full team where every side of the ball, including the coaching staff, all did their job. If that makes any sense. But as far as like an electrifying game by the offense, no. The defense, however, Mikey. Yes, I thought the defense has shown up plenty of times this season. Mm-hmm. They blanked teams out a couple times, right? The Dolphins, Washington, they handle their business in a lot of these games. It's the offense, like you said.
All but one.
Just can't. Yeah, they just can't. They're still trying to find their way, if that makes any sense. And maybe it'll come in the playoffs. That'd be great. That would be great. Fantastic.
Yeah. And hashtag, so either Paul or Mario's in, says how much is Biscuits going to pay Dable to keep Hart inactive? Hart ain't going to see the field. Don't you worry about that.
No, you better pray he doesn't get on the field or we are in some deep shit. How about that? So
Spankin says we need to score at least 44 and allow no more than 20. Okay.
I don't care about the points. Just get the win. What I care about in this game, Spin, get the win, lock the AFC East up, and nobody hurt. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't care. The score could be 10-0. I don't. Just win the game. Just get me in the playoffs. Josh Allen's cool. No injuries, right? Offensive line's not banged up. Defensive, everything's good. Like that's what I want out of that game. Score, I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care. We have nothing to prove against the Jets, is my point. That shows nothing. We could beat them 80-0. Teams aren't going to be scared in the playoffs. Go, oh my God, did you see what the Bills did against the Jets? Like they're going to go, yeah, they should have done that against the Jets. So no, I don't. The score doesn't mean nothing to me. Just get the win. No injuries. I'm good.
Yeah. Yep. So let's get to the injury report for the Bills. Obata is already been ruled out. Sanders is doubtful. He's most likely
Mario.
As well. And then for the Jets, Braxton Berrios, the wide receiver, is out, but everyone else is back for the Jets. So it is what it is. But let's do the mid roll credits. So this is from LinkedIn. It says these days it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn jobs made to faster and for free. And as Paul says, or I say as a former hiring manager, it can be very difficult to find the right candidates. Having someone out there that sends you the right ones that match what you're looking for is awesome. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/HTS #sports. Post your jobs for free at linkedin.com/HTS to post your jobs for free. Terms and conditions apply. And we thank LinkedIn for the support here at #sports. And we will move. And with that, we will move into the preview show. Where do we want to start? It's the Jets. So we'll get our first look at Zach Wilson, who has played better over the last few weeks, but he also hasn't been playing great competition.
No, and by the way, he's last in the league in play action pass percentage. He's terrible. He's under 40%. So he's not a very good play action pass quarterback, and he's not having a good rookie season. He's done a little better here at the end, but let's be real, like he's not had a good season. But this is the Jets. He doesn't have much to work with. So
yeah, I mean, Michael Carter's been running the ball better the last few weeks. Mm-hmm. He's coming off a concussion,
I like him.
So we don't. Yeah, and he's coming off a concussion, so we don't know what he's going to be. He wasn't on their final injury report, so it looks like he's going to clear the concussion protocol and be ready to go for the game. I loved him in the draft last year. He's little, but he's tough and he runs hard. That North Carolina team puts out a lot of them. Javonte, Michael Carter, Antonio Williams, all those guys come from the same spot. They run hard. Tip your cap. I like this one. Which Michael Carter? Because they do have two. The running back Michael Carter. Right. I love that one. From an offensive side, they won't have Berrios, who's been their number one recently. They do have Elijah Moore, but that offensive line's banged up. They've lost Mekhi Becton, their left tackle for the year. They lost their backup left tackle and George Fant, and now they're running their third, and their third's banged up in Gimpy. And I'm not gonna be able to pronounce the name. It starts with an E. It's like Yoga or something like that. But he was on the right side. They moved him to the left side. They have a banged up O-line. So we just need to, or from defense side, we need to attack. Just attack. Because he's not good against the blitz. He's like one of the worst quarterbacks against the blitz. I want to see us attack him like we attacked Davis when we played him the first time, like we attacked Mac Jones. Let's get in there and beat him up. You start beating him up, he's going to start running for his life. So get in there and start hitting him. Even if we don't sack him, get to him. Put that pressure on him.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember, Leslie Frazier loves to play against rookie quarterbacks or guys that have not been in the league long. He has proven that, right? Especially this season. Heineke, right? Mac Jones hasn't done shit against us. All these youngster quarterbacks that come against us, they have bad games. Zach Wilson's going to have a bad game. I'm going to tell you right now. The thing with Frazier is he's going to throw a lot of disguises out there. So like you said, we're going to get pressure to him, but I think it's going to be more of a disguise type of package of defense that you see where Frazier's just going to throw a lot of different things out there that Zach Wilson has never seen before. And that's what's going to get Zach Wilson holding the ball long. And that's where your sacks will be and your interceptions, your turnovers. So Zach Wilson will have a bad game, guys, because Leslie Frazier is an excellent defensive coordinator. And guys, you better love him while he's here, because I'm telling you now, this will be his last season in Buffalo.
I agree. We'll find out on Monday with Black Monday coming up how many openings. I'm guessing there's going to be 6 openings.
Oh, dude, yeah.
There's 2 openings now. I'm guessing there's going to be 4 more. I believe there's going to be four more.
I think Minnesota. I think the coach of Minnesota is done. If not, that's a stupid move by them. They got to get rid of him.
Yeah. Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah, he's been bad since he's gotten there. Yeah, he's just that guy. He's a better defensive coordinator. Or is he an offensive coordinator? What was he? Which thing? I think it's a defense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's defense.
So he needs to go back to that, which he will. But yeah, bro, there's going to be a lot of openings. And Frazier's going to be on top of that list. I think before
he should be. He should be.
Yeah.
I think the perfect fit for Frazier is going to be Chicago. he's got ties there. They needed that culture person to come in and set the culture and build up a young.
And they got good defense. They got good defensive players too. So that he can work with.
And Frazier was in the house when we drafted Josh Allen, and he helped grow Josh Allen, because you're crazy if you don't think Josh Allen sat down with Frazier and picked his brain on how to read defenses and what they like to do, and from a defensive side. So he has that experience as well, and he was a winning head coach. When he was,
I thought players respect. They respect that. Yeah, and players love him, man. They respect how he's soft spoken, but he knows football, guys. And he's proven it since he's left Minnesota that he deserves this opportunity. And I'm gonna miss him, but he deserves it, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm a big fan. And Groot. Let's talk a little about Groot. Dave Buffalo OPR has been throwing that in there. I'll tell you, he kind of went away in the middle of the season a little bit. He did, got a little bit quiet, but he's starting to come back on. He's starting to figure things out.
Massive.
You have to remember, we weren't expecting anything out of this guy coming into this year. From a fan standpoint, we expected them to
and Spencer. Him and Spencer, they're both kind of on the same.
A lot of redshirt years, and they're getting a lot of run. Like, he's starting and he's making plays. That he's great in the run game, and he's starting to figure out the pass rush.
Yeah,
I like it,
guys. Yeah, and guys, remember, he's a kid still. Let's be real. He's super young. He's only been at the position one season for the Hurricanes. One. That's it, guys. That's it. This isn't a guy who played 2-3 seasons in college. One, right? And missed the second one. So he had all that time off. So he's as raw you can get, Rousseau. And for him to be starting says a lot. So he's going to get better, guys. So just be patient, I would say, with Gregory. But, man, from what I see, I love, man. And I'll tell you, too, when he goes for sacks, he does the right thing. He tries to strip the ball every time, which I love, man. He tries to get that takeaway. So, yep.
I love this hot take from Jay Boogie. He comes in and says, Wilson, 12 of 37, 148, 3 interceptions and a fumble.
Yeah, seems about right, Jay Boogie. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Bad game. That is about as bad as you can get. It's a terrible game.
Stefan comes in and asks, do we know what pick we'll get if Frazier gets a head coach job? All we know is if he gets picked up, we get 2/3. One this year, one next year. It will fall somewhere in the compensatory. I'm not exactly sure where it falls. We just pick up 2/3. One this year, one next year.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, great. It's great that we get compensation for him as part of that. But really,
it sucks losing him.
It sucks losing him.
It hurts.
And I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy for him. He's a fantastic coach and a human.
100%.
I like it.
Like, that's the one thing I don't fear Dable even, because I know I have so much faith in Ken Dorsey. But Frazier leaving, McDermott's gonna have to find a guy that fits McDermott's style of defense. And that's not going to be really easy, because McDermott tends to step in a lot. And Frazier was kind of cool with that. Like, Frazier and him had a good working relationship. So McDermott has to find that guy that he can just gel with on the defensive side, because that's McDermott's bread and butter, right? Yeah. So, he had that chemistry with Frazier. So he's going to have to go out, find a guy that he is just – that works well with this system, that McDermott system, But, yeah, let's see what McDermott can do.
Dave comes in and asks, will we rest any starters? I think Basham has a lot of potential. I'd like to see him on the edge. I believe with Obata out this week, we'll probably see Basham up. We'll probably see a few of those younger guys that are usually, game day inactives up. I don't think we're going to see any of them, like, Sanders, since he's banged up, is going to be down. We'll have, I imagine Vernon Butler will probably be active. We'll probably have some of those bigger guys on limited pitch counts, some of our main guys, and then we'll see a lot more backups as the game goes. I mean, we still have something to play for. We're still trying to clinch, so I don't think it's going to be a full-on sit-in starters. I just don't think we're going to see them 100% throughout the game.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think you'll see. I think Zach Moss will get a lot of carries in the fourth quarter. I even think Devin Singletary will take a bench by mid-third quarter, to be honest with you. And if you watch the last week's game against the Falcons, you kind of saw that too, where Moss came in towards the end and was taking a lot of the carries there at the end, kind of giving Singletary a little bit of a rest there. Kind of see that happening this game. That's why they're having him active now. Moss can take these hits again, and he's actually playing a lot better since he's gotten back, Mikey. So I can see that as well. So yeah, I see a lot of the backups coming in by mid-third quarter.
Yep. So another comment comes in and says McDermott's probably been grooming a defensive coach and an offensive coach just in case. Yeah, I think Dorsey is the offense.
Yeah, Dorsey. Yep.
Dorsey is going to probably be our new OC. It's either going to be Dorsey or the wide receivers coach. I think it's going to be one of those two, depending on what happens. And
it ain't going to be Chad Kelly, bro. It's not going to be Chad Kelly. It's going to be Dorsey, bro. It almost seems like they're prepping him up to be that by giving him that promotion, which was a silly promotion. Let's be real, but that was more of a hey, stick around. We're gonna get. In my opinion,
it's gonna fall. Because there's a lot of rumors out there that Frazier wants Dorsey as his OC if he gets a head coaching job. So depending on where it falls, if Frazier gets the job first and takes Dorsey with him, and then Daboll gets a job, then it's looking
Dorsey would. True, but Dorsey would have to agree to that. It boils down to what Dorsey. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. You get what I'm saying? So, I wouldn't look too much into the rumor thing, with that because who knows? Maybe Dorsey likes what he sees here and sees the potential of some. He already has a quarterback in place. I mean, think about it. He has Josh Allen in place. He's been working with Josh Allen, right, for the past 2 seasons. He has Stephon Diggs. Like he has an offense in place that he can work with. Right. So why would he leave? If McDermott's kind of already hinted to him that he will be the next guy, I just don't see that happening. But who knows? Hey, maybe I'm wrong. But they're rumors for now, man.
Bills fans, I think I'd rather see Dorsey as OC next year than Daboll. I hope Daboll gets the head coaching job. I really do. I hope he, because he's a good leader of men. I think he's just run his course here. I'm not a Daboll lover or a fan. Tommy is the president of the Daboll fan club. If you watched last night's show, you'll know all about it. But overall, I'd like to see him move on. He is a great leader of men. All the players seem to really love him. He sets a good culture. He's worked his way up through the ranks, and I think that's I'd love to see him move on, and then us bring somebody new.
He's
in.
definitely
on the defensive side. Yeah, on the defensive side, I think Eric Washington. He was the replacement for McDermott when he left in Carolina. And then probably Bob Babich, the DB's coach, that could be somebody. Everyone seems to really talk about him a lot. So who knows? We don't even know if these people want. Like I imagine Eric Washington because he already moved to that, but no one knows if Bob Babich wants to be a defensive coordinator. Maybe he likes what he does. We don't know.
That's true.
Yeah, Chad Hall. I would love the idea of Chad Hall. I think Chad Hall will be a fantastic one. I think he's still really young in his coaching tenure. I think Chad Hall would be a good fit if Dorsey left with Frazier. I can see Chad Hall getting an opportunity. I don't know. We'll find out.
See, guys.
Yeah. So on the defensive side of the ball, we know that the Jets don't have a great defensive back seven. Mosley and Quentin Williams are their big studs on defense. It'll be interesting to see how they play, if they play any better. Because when we played them last time, we ate them up. Diggs had a big day. Josh Allen had a big day. But the weather's going to be crap. So let's see what we have.
That's right. and we were in New York, way in a different month and way better conditions. I don't see that kind of passing attack by us this game. I just don't. Josh will still get his. I just don't think it's going to be crazy amount.
JD Platt comes in and says, we have the number 1 defense in the NFL and the number 3 offense. Why are you guys talking about replacements? Because both of our coordinators are up at the top of the list for head coaching jobs. It's not that we just want to replace them, but they were both finalists last year for head coaching jobs, and they didn't get the job because we went so deep into the playoffs.
Correct.
It's the reason why Dable isn't in LA, and it's the reason why Frazier isn't in Houston right now. It's because we went so deep.
Yeah, and by the way, JD, they both already got permission to speak to other NFL teams for head coaching jobs, and that was last week. So if they got permission, that means they are looking. Or else they wouldn't have said it, right? So clearly they're looking for a head coaching job if they got permission. And the reason why we're bringing it up is because we have to, because it's probably going to happen. It's not that we're trying to push. I want Frazier to stay forever. Now, Dable, on the other hand, listen, I won't lie to you. I've been pushing. I am in the back there pushing. But as far as Frazier, no, I don't want him to go anywhere. But the truth is, he's earned it. He wants to go. He wants to be a head coach. That's almost every coordinator in the NFL. I would say most of them, their dream is to become a head coach. That's what they want.
Most coaches.
I'm not saying all, but you know what I'm saying.
Most coaches want that. JD did come and said, okay, he just got here. He didn't catch that part of it. We didn't really talk about that part of it, of why we were talking about replacing him. We started off, we were talking about just like Black Monday coming up, and then kind of, went down that rabbit hole. But ultimately, we're not advocating to push them out the door by any means. However, we need to be prepared and have a plan in place for when they go. And I believe McDermott and Bean, much like our front office, and no one's talking about this, but we have some high profile front office people. We already saw Dan Morgan leave last year, and we have a few more high profile guys in the front office that could be picked this year too. When they see teams that have been bad for a perennial long time, then all of a sudden a new regime comes in, they get really good and they get good fast. A lot of teams want to take from that because there's a plan in place that they help build. So they want to duplicate it, so they take those guys.
Right.
Thanks, Dev. We appreciate it. Tommy, he thinks you're doing a good job, buddy.
I appreciate it.
So we talked a little bit about the offense. We talked a little bit about the Jets' poor defense, special teams. I need Stevenson to show me something this week. He put the ball on the ground last week, cost us 2 points. Then he bobbled another one. I need him to come out. McDermott gave him a vote of confidence at his press conference, said, after the game. So I need him to come out and be solid. I'd love to see him take one back to the house. Show us that big playability that we saw in the preseason.
Yeah, no, I agree. And me, Mikey. I did a video on Marquez when we drafted him. I thought he was a steal at 6th round. I still have faith in Marquez. I think Bills Mafia gets a little too down quick on players when they make mistakes. Guys, mistakes happen. No one's perfect. The best kick returners, have made mistakes, right? They've all had a drop here or there. He's learning. He's only been on the job, 4 weeks now. 4 weeks. And one of those weeks he didn't even play. So he's kind of getting his feet wet too, guys. So just give him a little break. Though I agree with Mikey. If he drops another one in this game, you will see McDermott make a change, especially in the playoffs. You cannot have that happening. But give the guy a chance, man. And who knows what can happen. I was thinking the other day, Mikey, we've had some pretty good kick returners in Buffalo that a lot of fans maybe remember, maybe don't. Roscoe Parrish was an excellent. Terrence McGee was the best, by the way. I think very underrated, in my opinion. I love Terrence McGee. I think he had against the Cincinnati Bengals, if I'm not mistaken, he had a record that game. He had a punt return for a touchdown, a kick return, and I think he had a defensive interception.
Pick six, didn't he? Yeah,
yeah.
He had pick six. That was when the first year he became the starting corner because he started out as a return man and worked his way into the defense.
He was a great. I'm telling you guys, we've had some
really good, like Andre.
Now I remember Leotis McKelvin. He wasn't bad, but he had the cases of the fumbles
in big spots. The problem with McKelvin is not that he fumbled in big spots.
That's what I mean, right? And he wasn't bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, so give the guy a little break here, guys. All I'm saying. Let's see what happens. I can tell you this though, all practice. I bet you that he's been on one side of the field with them punting wet footballs to him. I'll promise you.
Yep.
You know, and seeing how he handles them. Because that's really what it boils down to. Hold the ball, bro. Don't let the ball down. You know, don't give it up.
McKelvin was a better corner than a return man.
He was a decent corner. And he wasn't that bad as a returner. But you are right. He was a better DB than a returner. Roscoe was a hell of a returner though. You know who else was a good returner too?
Was
CJ Spiller.
Roscoe
Spiller.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was saying Spiller had good returns too. He was a good kick returner for us. But go ahead.
Yeah, I say Roscoe Parrish was before his time because he's basically that McKenzie guy. Like, could you imagine Roscoe Parrish in his prime in this offense today, using the way we use McKenzie? That's basically it's like he's like a little clone.
Good. You're right. You know, I didn't even think about that, Mikey. You are dead on about the Roscoe thing. Because you know why? Because you're exactly right. He played that style because I'm a Hurricane fan. That's what he did in Miami. He was that little gadget guy, that kind of what McKenzie is. I mean, same kind of built, same height, a good, decent receiver when given the ball. So yeah, you're right, man. He is
like I would have loved to see him running those jet motions. Like we used him to run streaks and stuff, the 9 routes. But man, I would have loved to see those pop passes. You know, the jet motions, the little bubble screens. I would have loved to see Roscoe in those because he was a little dynamic dude when he got the ball in his hands.
Dude, he was fast. He was fast, bro. Bring it back. Yeah. We're bringing you guys a little old school talk real quick on our Roscoe.
Oh God, I loved Roscoe Parrish. I love that guy. I was so big on him. And in Madden, that guy, you couldn't catch him.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he was a little cheat code.
All right, I got to get me a Roscoe Parrish jersey now.
I just brought it back, didn't I?
Yeah, Mikey.
Oh, why? That's just cold-hearted. Stevenson's taking lessons from Moss on how to run into your own men.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
Did do that game.
That's just mean.
Hey, listen, he has to get his feet wet, man.
Mm-hmm. Trixon says, I can imagine Tommy just being on the sidelines and practice like, you better catch that ball, bro. Better not drop it, bro. Oh, Lee Evans. That's a great one, John. Lee Evans. He was one of my favorites, too.
Him and
that guy was a fantastic receiver.
It was him and Molds for a little bit were on the same squad, or him and Peerless Price? I know he was with some. Okay. No, Molds, because I think Peerless Price left to play for Atlanta, and then he came back.
And that's when we had Lee Evans. I think we had Price and Evans at the same time. Okay. I don't think Molds and Evans ever. No, that JP Losman to Lee Evans deep ball was about as pretty as it got.
Oh, dude. His second year when he started, I was watching some of those plays today real quick. And my God, like they had a good connection, those two, man. They like he knew where Lee Evans was going to be. It just bad team. Bad team.
There was a question that came in here. It says, how about the O-line lately? Dawkins, Morris, and Bates especially. Yeah, you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier for those that weren't already in with us. But it's ever since Bates was inserted, it just seems like it's a different offensive line. It seems to stabilize a lot of things. And I love it. I like seeing it. I've been a big Bates fan. I didn't understand why he couldn't get on the field for the last few years. I thought he was great. Every time he's gotten an opportunity, he's done well. And it's nice to see him in there succeeding. He's making the offensive line better.
Yeah.
Josh hasn't been sacked in a couple games.
The pass blocking has been it's going back to last season's pass blocking, which is what I expected to begin this season, which it wasn't there. And finally, Josh Allen can breathe a little bit, right? Like he can look at his reads without having to go one read and get the hell out of danger's way. It's great to see. It really is good to see, and hopefully these guys stay healthy and we make a run. You know, that's all I can tell you guys.
Stefan says Lee Evans was the reason he became a Bills fan. Yeah, Lee Evans was amazing.
Remember, he went to, I want to say Baltimore. He had a huge drop in the playoffs. I felt so bad for him because I was such a big fan of Lee Evans, and God, he had a huge
touchdown,
drop.
wide open,
yes,
wide open. Dropped it.
I know he thinks about that because he's better than that. It is what it is.
Yeah, Carl comes in and says he didn't think that Stevenson fumble was his fault. He didn't muff it. He caught it and tucked it and took 2 steps.
It was a good tackle.
It was a decision.
Gotta hold the ball.
It's a decision. It was the decision. He should have fair caught it. With the guy that was that close to him, he should have just fair caught it. And that's the one thing that I think we miss most about Andre Roberts is the decision making. I don't miss Andre Roberts as the returner as much because he's a little bit older, and although he did just return one for a touchdown, he was hit and miss on it. It's the consistent decision making that
and the hands. Yeah, he wasn't gonna. He was very good at, like you said, knowing when to catch the ball, knowing when to let it go into the end zone. He very rarely had like a muff punt return or fumble. He always held the ball good. Like I had faith in Andre Roberts was going to do the right thing. With Stevenson and McKenzie, that's where we are still. But you got to remember, guys, they haven't been doing it long. Andre Roberts, he's a Pro Bowler. He's been doing it pretty much his whole career. So you can't really compare the two right now. You got to just let Marquez kind of go through his rookie blunders, and hopefully, if he's not the guy, then we'll find a guy. That's a position we can find. They're all over, to be honest with you. Kick returns, punt returns. You can find one if he doesn't work out.
Daniel Gargison says that Evans' playoff drop was not a drop. Versus the pass, the quarterback knocked it out of his hands. It was heartbreaking. He should have caught it. It hit his hands. Right. Listen, if you ever listen to me, if it touches your hands, you need to catch it.
Oh, yeah. Me and Mikey were fighting on that. We never got to that, by the way. But, Mikey, listen, I will tell you this. I agree. I'm not disagreeing totally what you're saying with if the ball is in your hands, you got to catch it. But the one knock on Josh Allen since he's been a rookie was he doesn't have very good touch passes. So, like, he'll have a receiver, and it doesn't matter if it's a rainy game, snowy game. He had that problem where a guy will be 5 yards away from him. He's throwing rockets when all you had to do was just a normal little floater pass. There's some plays, for instance, the Kumaro. That now, mind you, he should have had it. It was there. But if he would have just floated it, no need to throw it like, you know what I mean? So he had that problem. And when you're going in a game like last week where it's raining and windy and the ball's super wet, Devin Singletary is right there. Diggs even dropped one. But they're wide open, Mikey. Come on. You don't need to throw a rocket missile pass. I get what you're saying. It's windy, but he could have literally just floated it to him, and it would have been fine.
If he floated and the wind catches it,
Mike, I'm not saying underhand John Barry free throw float. I'm talking about just let a little off. Like, it doesn't need to be a rocket.
When it gets cold, Josh seems to throw it a little bit harder, like he's trying to push it through the snow. And it may be a good thing. Like,
I'll give you a good example. Jim Kelly doesn't have a rocket arm like Josh Allen, and he knew how to throw in that wind and that snow because he had touch passes. He knows there's a time where you need to rocket that thing in there, which, by the way, in that Falcons game in the beginning, there was passes that, he had to. They were like 10-yard outs. I mean, he was fitting them. Boom. But, bro, come on, Mikey. Devin Singletary is 4 yards in front of you. You don't need to.
He wasn't like 4 yards. He was
100-yard pass. 100-mile per hour
4 yards
pass.
from the line of scrimmage. Allen was 7 yards deep as a 12-yard pass. Stop this like he's standing as far, right next to each other, and he's throwing as hard as he can at him.
Listen,
catch the damn ball. It hits you in the hand.
Every analysis I ever heard, especially old quarterbacks, they always said that, like when Allen, since he's been a rookie, he has to learn how to do it a little bit better on touch passes. He has to let a little go. And I agree with what you're saying. If the ball's there, you got to catch it. But he could also do his receivers a little favor by letting a little bit go, like off the 100-mile-per-hour football. Like that's all I'm saying.
Y comes in and says Josh is throwing his jab like a knockout punch.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. Why? That's exactly my point.
He could help his people out a little bit better by taking a little bit off. However, it hits your damn hand. Catch the damn ball.
It's like me and you playing catch, right, in baseball, and I'm underthrowing you a ball, but I'm 5 feet in front of you, and you're putting all your power into the ball. Like, I'm not gonna be able to catch that 5 yards in front of you with a mitt. Like, it's not gonna happen.
They weren't 5 yards apart. Stop
it. Dude, come on, Mikey. He was close enough. There's nobody around him. You don't need to throw a rocket missile when the guy's right there. You saw it, bro. How good is Diggs? Okay. You can knock. Listen, you can knock Motor. Fine, Motor. We all know Motor. He's getting better at catching the ball. But we all know since his rookie season, he hasn't been the best at it. Right? He has a couple drops. But come on, Diggs is a great. He catches ball. He very rarely drops. And you saw the pass.
The ball was so
100
fast.
miles per hour.
Catches that if he gets both hands on it. The ball came by him so fast he couldn't get both hands up to catch it.
Oh, it came by him so fast? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're saying he should have took a little off?
No. I'm not. Okay. I'm saying hit your hands. Make a one-handed catch.
Inspector Gadget over there? Okay.
Yeah, no. It's something that Josh has to work on. We know it. He knows it. He talked about it in his press conference after. He has to make it. He has to get it to these guys and make it easier for them to hold the ball.
That's
in the story.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
But stop making it like he was 2 yards away. He threw as hard as he can at him.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
I just
12 yards away. He threw it on. He threw it to him. It bounced off his hands.
Trying to break people's faces up in here with his passes.
Catch the ball when it hits your hand.
Just got hand surgery. He's trying to break his. It's in the cold. Golly, come on, man.
God, you're talking about and the pass to Diggs was he was 20 yards away from him. So don't say he was standing next to him when he threw
wide open though, nobody around him. Come on, man.
Question: at this time of year, it's been a bit scared for Diggs Allen connection. It seems to be a bit out of sync on the deep passes this year. I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it is the type of defensive coverage they're playing because a lot of people are playing that too high shell. The Diggs and Allen connection just seems to be off just a little bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with the routes that he's running. Because if you notice, the first part of the year, Diggs are on a lot of goes and stops and outs, and that's it. You've never seen him come across the middle. And that's where they succeeded so much. Because in the first half of the year last year, they started slow too. By the end of the year, they were on fire. Allen was hitting them on those crossing patterns. And we don't see Diggs running those very often anymore. We haven't seen those patterns until the last 3 weeks. All of a sudden, they came back. Everything was a stop, a go, an out. There was never any, crossers or man beaters or any of that type of stuff.
Well, I understand he's not doing that as much, but he still has almost 4,500 yards passing.
yeah. Well, not only that, but Diggs has, he's six catches away from 100 yards. He has, I think he has 1,100 and something yards receiving, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's having a bad year by any means. It just,
I know that part of the game is not there, but he's still getting the ball.
And I saw a stat that the connection rate from them dropped 10% and went from almost 80% last year down to 70% this year or something like that.
Well, you got to factor in too, though, Mikey. Crowds are back, right? The defenses, when you're on the road, it's a little different. Now, also, defenses know what the offense is bringing, right? So they're prepared for Diggs to go deeper. Also, the fact that Knox has played very good this season, so he's getting more involved in the offense.
Well, his targets haven't dropped.
A lot to take.
It's just the connection has.
No, I know the connection. Well, the connection deep, but not really the connection. I still think
overall the connection. His catch rate dropped from a 79 last year to like a 74 this year. So there's like a 5% difference in his catch rate. But you have to remember, last year they were so good last year.
They were.
That, you know, a small step back like that isn't really a regression. It's just normal. They were just so in sync last year.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Last year, the game plan was to run man against Josh. Josh couldn't beat man. This year, it's like, okay, don't run man anymore because he eats it alive. Run a 2 deep coverage and make him be patient.
Yeah, and they're also defenses are playing the deep pass a lot. They're daring us to throw deep. So it's smart, really, not to really go that route and go force feed it to Diggs. That's the one thing I kept saying to you. Yeah, we got to get Diggs involved. Remember when we were talking about getting Diggs involved, but don't force it. That doesn't mean to force passes to Diggs. Just try to get him more involved in the offense as far as the play calling is concerned. Dable was kind of, I don't know what Dable was doing there for those middle of the season. This season, we were in a total funk as far as Diggs getting involved. That I will say, I will agree with that. Like Diggs was not part of the offensive game plan, which was driving me insane. But Dable has gotten him back in to the groove. Let's just say the last 4 weeks, I want to say.
Yeah. All right. So we're coming up on 90 minutes. Time for a prediction, everybody. The show went by real quick.
Yeah, it did.
So what's your prediction this week, Tommy?
Man, these are tough because they're such shitty environment.
And we don't know how much the starters are going to actually play.
I know.
We want to win, but
I know.
We're also preparing for the playoffs.
I know that's the okay. I'm gonna say 27-3 27-3 Buffalo.
Wow. Okay. And I'm going to go with 34-17 because I think the second half of the game, we're going to have some backups in and they're going to put some points on the board. Okay. Oh, I love this one, Stephon. 52-10.
Damn.
Stephen comes in with a 52-10.
Blowing them out. Making them walk home.
Yep. Give me your X factors, Tommy. Offense and defense.
I'm going right back to the well again. Motor Singletary. X factor on offense. On defense, however, I will change it. I'm going to say in this game, because somebody's going to eat for sure. And I think it's going to be, I'm going to go Levi Wallace. I think Levi Wallace has a pick, possibly 2.
Okay. On offense, I think it's going to be the Diggs show. I think they're going to make sure he gets to 6. I think he's going to go for something along the lines of 10 for $120 and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
And then on D, I'm going opposite. I think they're going to test Dane Jackson. I think Dane Jackson is going to be the man. And I think he's going to get a pick 6.
Nice. Okay.
All right, so let's see what else they got over here in the comments. We got a 28-9. From a D line standpoint, Tommy, who do you think on the D line is gonna have the big game?
Man, Harrison's been playing really good, but I'm gonna say Ed Oliver.
You think
I think Ed Oliver. I think Ed Oliver's had an excellent season, and considering how Starr has not helped him at all, and
Harry's been the one helping him.
Right, and the knock was last year he needed Starr to play better, but no, Ed's improved. You can see the burst, the speed, the strength. That's what we all been wanting to see. But Ed Oliver, I think Ed Oliver will have will have a big game as well. So he could be that X factor as well. But I said Levi, so I'll stick with it.
Yeah, Carl comes in and says it's gonna be 28-3 at half. Trubisky comes in, starts third quarter, and they win 42-17.
Okay. All right. I don't hate that either.
We got Stephen comes in and says Poyer with a forced fumble and an interception.
All right. Our all pro, hopefully.
Tregs also think Allen's arm's so strong he still has trouble gauging it at times. Favre had that issue. LA had that issue. You're right.
Yeah.
There's times that, especially in the cold, I think he can't get the feel quite as much, and I think that's why he throws it so hard.
Yep. Makes sense.
you know. But all right, so Tommy, tell everyone what's on tap. You got what's on tap for the
yeah
for this week.
So tomorrow, Saturday, 7:30, AFC East Shakedown. I do it every Saturday, guys. I have Sports Dynasty podcast on there. They're Patriots content guys. I also have Captain D. He's a Dolphins fan. He comes on as well. So I'll be on 7:30 tomorrow. I'll also be doing post game on Sunday, right after the game. And by the way, guys, in case I'm sure you all know, but the game was moved to 4:25. Just a heads up, it's no longer 1. So I'll be doing a post game right after that, and then Thursday night uncensored. That's it.
Okay. And then, as normal, you can find me on Twitter at Apex006. You can find me randomly scrolling through everybody's Bills content in the chat because I love to do that, whether it's Tommy's shows, whether it's some of the hashtag shows, whether it's over at Cover One or Buffalo Rumblings or wherever I'm at. Wherever there's content, I try to gobble it all up. So you'll find me in the chats over there. Other than that, everyone have a wonderful weekend. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, Realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!